So what would you say if I told you that I have a book for you with alliteration? Your kids can learn the alphabet with a beautiful illustrated book full of alliteration. So first of all, what is alliteration? Shakespeare used it, Shelley used it, the famous poet. So let's let's give you some examples. Shakespeare said, I count the clock that tells the time. Count the clock that tells the time. So alliteration is a repetition of initial consonants, right? So not vowels, but consonant sounds in neighboring words or even in syllables that are close to each other. So I have an illustrator, and she's representing the author as well. It's a team of two sisters-in-law who put together this book in Wisconsin that teaches the kids the alphabet through alliteration. Welcome to Homeschool Ways podcast. Please take it away. Tell us first your name and your involvement in the project and how it came about.
Hi, I'm Laura Wire. So I am the illustrator of the book. My sister-in-law Lee is the author, and it really kind of came together pretty casually because my sister-in-law Lee, she's always writing, she's always inspired, and so all the time she'll send me her poems. And it just so happened this one day she sent me, I don't know, maybe like five or seven of the letters. And she was like, I'm gonna turn this into a book. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so fun to illustrate because I just loved everything that was involved in her letters. And she's like, oh, well, the job's yours. And I was like, sweet. And so it just started as simply as that. And as we were working on it, we really just wanted it to be kind of like one of those books that when you grow up, you're thinking, hey, do you remember that really strange ABC book we had as kids? I loved that thing. And so we just wanted to be like really strange and memorable.
Yeah, and that's what makes things memorable. If they're strange, if there's something quirky about it, and alliteration will fit the condition there. So you don't have any children, but your sister-in-law, the author of the book, Lee, she has 8 children and she's a homeschool mom.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I just want to brag on homeschool moms. We're very creative people. We're not afraid to start projects and spearhead all kinds of camps and
Yeah.
write our own textbooks. And so I'm really proud of you, ladies. I love your cap, book person. Where did you get
Thanks.
that? I want one of those. I'm a
Right.
book person. Very good. So, why do you think so many alphabet books? Because I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of alphabet books. One time I went to a fundraising event and they had these baskets that you could win, right? And so we wrote our name on different things, and there was a basket with um, a bunch of books, and each one of them covered a letter. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be neat if I got 26 picture books, each one with the picture of the object, the noun that started with that letter. And it was neat, but really to go through 26 books and each one of them just covering one letter. And lo and behold, we won it. We won the basket. My kids were small, and I was like, wow, we won this thing. But just to have one book and go through the alphabet and have the alliteration going, I think that would be very, very engaging. So, why do you think so many alphabet books fail to engage kids beyond the first few pages?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's hard because kids, for one thing, they do have short attention span, but also it's harder in like when it's competing with like digital entertainment. But I think that more successful books, they have something that's attention grabbing in the beginning, or like they have a promise of something exciting or unexpected that you can expect the unexpected later in the book or as the book goes on. So for our book, I'm just kind of imagining as a kid, if I was in story time, I would be thinking, well, this isn't the usual ABC book. It's not apple, boat, car. It's not all the usual words you would expect. for an ABC book, and so I'd be like, "Oh, I wonder what the rest of the letters are going to be. I wonder if I can try and guess what the letter Z is going to be because there are such random words in this book." So I just think adding something in like that you can kind of see where they're going, but you can look forward to like guessing at.
Yeah. So we've got playful language, we've got alliteration that will help kids develop that sound awareness and early reading. And can you share a favorite letter or a scenario from the book that stands out to you?
Yeah. Is it okay if I share Ashley or Lee's favorite letter as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
She's
so
the
I
author.
asked I asked her this. Okay, she said her favorite letter is the letter G, and that's where it says grizzled gray goats gumming green grass. And so in her mind, she was, kind of just thinking a goat eating grass. And then I took it and I kind of like almost intentionally like misinterpreted it. I mean, all of these you can interpret how you want, and that's the fun of it. But I interpret it as these goats are taking grass and they're turning it into gum and then they're selling it and making a little business out of it. And so she liked how I just like went in a completely different direction than she like, was thinking when she wrote the words. Um, and yeah, that's just a side note. That's what I just loved about working with her is that she was so open to me just like taking what she wrote and just running with things visually. So that was her favorite letter, and I kind of liked it for that reason too, just the taking it in a different way. But one of my favorite letters is kind of hard to pick, but it was early in the book. It was the letter B. And so that was breakfasting bunnies bicker boisterously. And so when I first saw that, I was like, that seems a little bit hard to like, let's say it was a like realistic looking bunny and how to make it look like it's bickering and how to make that interesting. And so I was like, I'm just gonna skip the realism for that. I mean, I ended up skipping the realism for pretty much the whole book, but this was in the beginning. So I was like, how are we gonna continue to go on with these pages? So anyway, I was like, okay, these are not gonna be realistic. They're gonna be stuffed animal bunnies and they're gonna be puppets and they're gonna be like bickering. And so I like, that was one of my favorites because it's just like unexpected. It technically fits the prompt of her words, but it was different. But then the main reason I love that one is because my nephew, he had a stuffed animal bunny that was his absolute favorite. He took it everywhere as a kid. And so I modeled, not exactly, but pretty closely off of his stuffed bunny animal. And so every time I see that page, I think immediately of him. And so that's why it's my ultimate favorite.
That's neat. So he's one of the eight children.
Actually, he's my nephew of my other sister.
Oh, your other sister. Got you. Okay. Very neat. So that leads me right into my next question. How did real children influence the book's tone and idea? So there's one real child that inspired that one particular page. Do you have another example?
Well, so yeah, Lee, she has her 8 kids, and while she was writing, she would, be reciting it to them, and then as I would add my illustration, she would then pair that with them. And so like they were like always kind of like in the feedback process, and she always likes to say that her kids are a good barometer for like what a kid is willing to sit down and pay attention to because they're just very active kids. And so the fact that once we had this all together, they sat down and kept requesting to read it. That was just like a good indicator of like what kids would like. But for my part, I would say that I was inspired by my nieces and nephews because they're all they like to be silly, they love to be surprised or like have the unexpected. And so when I was making my illustrations, I was like, every single page, I was like, how can I make this silly? How can I make it unexpected? How can I like hide things in there that a kid will be like, oh, look at that. Did you see that part? Or like, I wanted to have the background be as interesting as the foreground. So, like, for the letter E, the foreground is a little doctor guy extracting a literal earworm out of this patient. But in the background, I have all of these cases or shelves, and there's like these little creatures in jars or like test tubes or books or whatever. And I guess I was thinking about them specifically, about them being like, oh, did you see that little wiggly thing down there? Like, yeah, like thinking like they're like uncovering some kind of secret part of the page.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. So I just want to take a moment to tell my viewers if they need a little help in organizing themselves for their homeschool. Feel free to go to homeschoolways.com/organized. That's my blog. This podcast is obviously on Spotify and it's going to go on YouTube, but I do have a blog, homeschoolways.com. And if you put /organized after that, it will lead you to a page where you can download free PDFs where you can walk yourself through several questions and get organized in 1 hour so you can finish the year strong. Let's get back to the interview with Laura Wire about a beautiful book that teaches kids the alphabet, but in an alliteration kind of way. So it's called An Alliterative Alphabet. You collaborated with your sister Lee, and I want to know, have you to discuss like how would parents and teachers use this book?
Yeah. So, okay. I do have an answer from her, if it's okay that I just read it word for word, because
Absolutely, yes.
so
And I
she's
just want to tell my viewers the reason why she's not here is because she's camera shy. That's it.
Mhm.
She would have loved to be on, and I totally understand that. I know a lot of journalists who have a podcast and they will not have a video podcast.
Mhm.
The camera can be intimidating. So go ahead and read to us her
For
blog.
sure. All right, so she said this book would be great really for anything. A classroom would be great because there's a lot of expensive words in this book. I highly value exposure to enriching and challenging words for kids. Kids will also love having this book to read to them and then getting to take it to bed with them to appreciate the enchanting illustrations. I have fond memories of doing this as a child, and my own kids also love to do it. So that's her perspective of it. I thought it was nice.
Mhm.
For me, I can definitely see this for any setting being a good book, but I really just have a strong envisioning in my mind of it being like in a library or classroom story time, because I think there's like a lot of opportunity to teach different words as you go through each letter. Or let's say it was more on the younger side classroom. I could see it being, let's say they have a letter of the day. They could just do one page and then go through any words in that page that are a challenge for them. So, yeah, I definitely see kids loving it in like a classroom library setting, but anywhere really. But that's just how I think of it.
Yeah. And that's what I thought. You could, and I'm a homeschool educator, so of course, and I'm a mom, so I'm thinking bedtime story. I'm thinking somebody's in the car with this book on their knees, reading it as you're going somewhere just for 10, 15 minutes or
Yeah.
even longer trips. I'm thinking even during your reading time with the earlier kids. But the words, like you said, the words are so enriching and so expensive,
Yeah.
and I like the word she used, that it's like even older kids would benefit from this vocabulary. And I just want to remind everybody, research has shown vocabulary is what separates kids that will have success in life from the kids who will unfortunately end up in jail, to the point where states will look at the reading levels in their third grade classrooms and they will build jail cells based on those numbers.
Whoa.
It's kind of scary. So, because they're thinking these kids are 9, and in about 7 to 9 years, they're going to end up in juvie. They're going to end up in, so the kids that don't read at all by age 3, and they are some other socioeconomic factors that come in, but they really use vocabulary and it's research based, and all the states are using it. So it's kind
Wow.
of scary. So It just makes it very important. This is why you're a book person, I'm a book person. It's one of the many reasons why we're trying to um, push literacy and reading on really everybody. And I do understand there are some ages, there are some kids who need a little bit more time before they can read. You know, I
Hmm.
have friends who learn to read at 10 or even 12, but they end up being very, very successful in life because their parents took time, they got involved, you know, whether they were in school or in a homeschool setting, they got involved. And so they helped the child and so on. So let's be a little forward looking. If you could give one piece of advice to parents trying to raise kids who love words and reading, and like you said, who are not as dependent on screens as we all seem to be these days, what would it be, that one piece of advice?
All right. Well, Lee said, the old adage, more is caught than taught, comes to mind. Read to them, read to yourself, be a lover of words. I thought that was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have kids, but I do remember reading with my mom when I was a kid. And I remember like examining each page and like taking time to really just like soak it in and be like, oh, that's my favorite part. I don't like that part. Oh, I bet that is a little hidden secret that we found. And so I think that it was really special to just take the time on each page to soak it in. And so I guess one thing, I guess advice that I would give is just like letting the kids like control the pace of how you're going through it because then they can like take everything in on their own time and really experience it. It's just, I don't know, I guess just take your time with books
Cool.
because then it creates really special moments.
Yes, and I like that. Let the child lead the way. If they need less time on a page, just move on.
Mhm.
As time management wise, you know, less than 30 letters in the alphabet. If you take even 1 minute per letter, you're going to read to your child for like 20 some minutes, which is really the recommended daily time in front of a book with a small child or even an older child. And if you're still skeptical, I'm addressing my viewers now. If you're still skeptical about alliteration, let me just remind you that very famous companies are using it. PayPal, Coca-Cola, Best Buy, Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme. Everybody's using alliteration for money. Why? Because it sticks to the brain, right? So we're pushing this book, we're recommending this book because it will stick with your children. They will learn all kinds of cool sounding words. And let me give you some other, also from the business world, functional fashion, big business. You know, all these expressions that have floated into the vernacular, and we use them because they stick.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as we land the plane, I want to thank you, Laura, for coming onto the podcast. And do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Oh my gosh, I just want to thank you for having me. It's been an honor to talk with you today.
Cool. And before I let you go, tell our readers, if you can, share your secrets on what kind of tools did you use to create the illustrations?
Sure. So I used an iPad and their stylus, and then I used the app Procreate. It's just a $10 one fee for that app, and it's really great. And then so that's how I made the illustrations, and then I brought that into Adobe InDesign, and then that's when I laid out the text to go with the book. And so two programs, Procreate and InDesign.
And the last time we looked at Procreate for my daughter, it was only available for Mac products, for Apple
Yeah.
products. Okay.
That's the last time I checked. It was just,
It's
yeah,
still the
Apple
case.
products.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so no AI was used in the making of this
Mm-mm.
book. So, okay. And I have featured some books made with AI, but I think it's very important for us to have a human illustrator who spent time.
Yeah.
and skill on creating a beautiful book. Thank you again for coming onto the show, and we will put the link to the book on Amazon on in the show notes, and we'll talk again in a year, and we'll see what happened. Maybe there's a second book.
Yeah, right. Thank you.